What I'm going to talk to you about today is about leadership and leading teams. And while leadership is so important that we can lead large congregations and nations if we're presidents like Karen was talking about, but what I'm really going to talk to you about is leadership in the context of those people that report to you. The people that are on your team. Because that, to me, is so much of what leadership is about. You know, I talk to CEOs sometimes, like, yeah, I like leading, I like giving speeches. I don't really like to manage my team, though. I think they should do that themselves. And I just think if we abdicate that, I mean, if George Bush does not manage his cabinet and his staff, he's done. No matter what kind of a speaker he is. And so what I want to talk to you today is how to build teams and how to be leaders of your staff teams. Okay? Now, the first dysfunction of a team, let's just dive right into it, is the absence of trust. And you can turn in your booklet into page, I don't know what page, 6, thank you very much. Oh, 26, even better, 26. Yeah, thank you. See, I can interact with the audience. Page 26 in your book. The absence of trust. Now, when you first hear about this, that's the first dysfunction of a team, you might say, no duh. But what I'm talking about when I talk about trust is something very specific and very practical, and that is vulnerability-based trust. As leaders of teams, we have to generate trust on our teams by helping people get comfortable being vulnerable with one another. That means people on a team have to say they're sorry, I was wrong, I made a mistake, I'm bad at that, I need your help, you're better than I am at that, I admire you. They have to be human and real and vulnerable. And yet as leaders, we're certainly not taught this. I mean, you know, it's like, don't let them see you sweat. You know? And as pastors, I can only imagine these people are looking up to you, not only for guidance in management, which is part of your job, but for spiritual guidance. And the thought of being vulnerable in front of them is pretty daunting. You know, I once worked with an executive team that had a vulnerability issue. Not at the leadership level in this case. But they had one person on their team. And this was an amazing company that had this all-star group of executives. They had lots of funding, a great product. Really everything in the world going for them. But they had this one executive on the team who just couldn't seem to get that. And one night, at a dinner between off-site days, at a 2-day off-site, they had some wine, which is, of course, the great elixir of truth sometimes. And she picked up her glass after a few of them and said, let me tell you guys something. We've been talking about trust, but I've been married to my husband for 10 years, and I've barely learned to trust him, so I'm not going to be trusting you guys anytime soon, if ever. And we were like, oh, you know? Okay. So the CEO and she and I stepped outside after the dinner and said, this is the problem. This is the issue, because if just one member of the team has trouble with trust, it really hurts the entire team, because we would go to their offsite meetings and I would be a facilitator. And whenever we'd be getting into an issue, this one person would speak, and whatever she said, people learned not to comment on it at all. The conversation would grind to a halt. It would be uncomfortable until somebody changed the subject and they moved on. Because they realized if they ever commented on anything she said, all that she was going to do is defend her position. There was no use challenging her or even putting out another point. Because one member of a team can hurt the dynamics that much. Now, I want to be very careful here, especially in this environment. This CEO didn't go out and say, all right, you're fired. You know, I don't think you should go to your management team and go, yeah, trusting, not trusting, bye-bye, trusting, not trusting, trusting. Because we have to work with people to help them understand the importance of this. But ultimately, after months of working with this person and trying to get her to open up and be more vulnerable, she couldn't do it. She had to manage her out. You saw that conversation. We're going to talk more about that in a little bit. The next offsite meeting I attended with that team after she had gone, it was amazing to watch the dynamics. They got into issues. They made faster decisions. They made better decisions. People didn't hold back purely because they had one member of the team who previously couldn't trust who was gone. It was like watching a whole new company. This is so critical in our organizations. And so many leaders, the question I have to ask you is, can your people be smarter than you? Can they be better than you? Can they have skills that you can look them in the face and say, I admire that in you, I want to be more like you in that way? And it can't be like, gee, I'm glad you're good at accounting because I hate doing that, you know. It's got to be something that you really admire, you know. And as leaders, we have to understand the power of that, because people will follow a leader into a fire if they're human and they're honest and they're vulnerable. But, huge but here, you can't fake it. Do not fake it. You know, I give this speech a lot and the CEO's like, yes, I will go back to work and be vulnerable on Monday. Yes. Maybe I'll even cry. You know? And it's like, no. It's better to be to struggle with it than it is to fake it, because if you fake it, you always get caught ultimately, and then you lose your credibility. And I don't have to talk to you, there's so many public examples of that in politics and in televangelism, and then people go, I don't think they're really truly sorry. Or I don't think they really think it's a weakness. So this is one, do not fake it. If it's not painful in the moment to do it, it's not real. It's that moment when you say something during a meeting and you go, oh, I think I was way out of line. I don't want to say that. That's that level 5 moment, as Jim Collins talked about, where you say, I screwed up. I am sorry. You know? Trust is based on vulnerability.